Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Screen Addicts podcast. I, as always, am one of your hosts, Chris Just Mercy Villegas.
I am Cinema Steven Sosa.
And I am Jeremy. Welcome to the jungle.
Indeed.
Welcome to the jungle. And you
Welcome
got
to the jungle.
your shirt is amazing, my friend, and I love it.
It is indeed.
Where did you get that?
Yeah, where did you get that?
The chive.
Oh, of course.
It's a play on Guns N' Roses and the Predator.
I mean, if they didn't get that, they have no business watching our show.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, maybe we're educating people.
That is true.
Too.
You know?
It is two dated subjects there.
Excessively.
Absolutely. But anyway, how are you guys doing, man?
Pretty good, man. It's some crazy times right now, that's for sure.
And that is why we didn't release. It's a big reason we didn't release an episode last week. Podcast across the world. We're standing in solidarity for political reasons, and we felt like we needed to join that movement. So we went black for last week, and not a lot of podcasts released episodes, and so we didn't either. But we're back this week, and we've got a pretty good topic this week. Screen Addicts. We typically do not like to touch on political subjects or anything like that, just because there's so many opinions out there, so many different things that people think and what people do, and people have the right to think what they want to think, and speaking for me, I don't like telling people what to do. So, I don't want to force my opinions on anybody. And, if you fellas are feeling any differently, go ahead and speak up for sure. But, I think just as a big movement, the way everybody, the podcast world handled everything, we just wanted to be a part of it. And that's the biggest reason we didn't released an episode last week. So, with all that said, we will be getting into some movies this week that deal with some of the topics that are going around in our nation right now.
Yeah,
and it can be touchy, and but what we want to strive for and what we want to put out in the world is, yes, there's some touchy subjects and there is some political views, but damn, there's some damn good movies about it.
Mm-hmm.
Some really damn good movies about it, and some really good movies that could possibly shed some light on some other things for you in these situations. But before we get there with all of that, we were going to do like we always do in our first segment, our recently watched. And Jeremy, start us off, my friend. And, feel free, guys, when you start your segments. I know I said my opinions on the matter. Feel free to say what you need to as well.
All good.
All right.
All right. Well, starting off, Chris pretty much said everything that I would say, so moving on. Anyway, what I went down an 80s hole this week and watched some movies from the 80s. I'm not going to say they were all good, especially this first one from 1989, starring John Ritter. One would think that would be a good movie, but it's not. It's called Skin Deep. And all he is a womanizing alcoholic writer.
Sounds like my kind of man.
It's not a good movie.
I have a quick question, Jeremy. Like Skin Deep, what made you want to watch it? That is such a random movie to want to
It
watch.
is. One of the podcasts I listen to, the Ralph Report with Ralph Garman, on Fridays, him and his co-host recommend movies to watch. His co-host, this was his pick for the week, and I was just interested because I had never heard of it. And I watched it and I was like, why the hell would somebody recommend this garbage?
Well, it's funny because Blake Edwards did it, and he's known for making some really great comedies. 10, The Pink Panther, The Switch, like really great comedies. So, I I know I've seen it before, but it's been a really long time, and I'll have to take your word for it.
All he does is try to hook up with any chick that's on screen, pretty much. That's it.
All right.
You think you'd love that movie? Maybe Chris would like to watch that one.
Maybe.
Yes. We'll see.
If it was done better, I might have enjoyed it better, but it wasn't done very well. Anyway, let's see here. I also watched this Oliver Stone movie I've never watched from 1988 called Talk Radio. And it kind of plays into the situations of today too. It's about this talk show host, and he's kind of crude, and he's on the radio, and he's taken a very strong position on one political area, and he gets phone calls from people that absolutely hate him and his entire show. And yeah, it's a damn good movie. It's an Oliver Stone movie, and Eric Bogosian. There you go. Yeah, he's the star. He's good. I like him.
It's so random that he had a lot of he had received a lot of critical acclaim for writing Suburbia, the play version of Suburbia, which Richard Linklater adapted later on. But he never really did anything outside of talk radio except become the villain in Under Siege 2. Like, that's so wow. Like, where did you go in your career? You're doing some critically acclaimed stuff to being some just random villain in a Steven Seagal movie. I guess the pay was pretty good because that's when Seagal was at his like peak, with Warner Brothers and stuff. But I don't know. Missed opportunity.
And then I watched a movie that everybody's pretty much saw, but I watched it for a particular reason. I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off again, but this time I applied the Fight Club theory. What is the Fight Club theory? The Fight Club theory is the entire movie is a figment of Cameron's imagination. And when you watch it and apply that theory, it works.
So you're implying that Ferris is basically the Tyler Durden of the movie. Okay. I like watching Jeremy. He gets so like animated. I feel like we've been missing out on all that stuff.
Oh, we have, dude. Like this is why this is so awesome.
What's another? I was thinking about that the other day when you were telling me about that. Like, what other movies could apply the Fight Club theory to, as if it was all a dream or if it was all kind of imaginative?
I've always heard like Batman movies you could apply that theory to, as Batman's the one that's crazy and making this whole world up and shit like that, which is very interesting to me, which it could possibly happen. You never know.
Well, he's a deeply psychological character. So I saw on Reddit a story where he's an inmate at Arkham, and like everybody that works in the facility is a villain. Like the maintenance guy is Mr. Freeze, and of course, like the Joker is his roommate, and the Riddler is his like therapist or something, just
yeah.
like all kinds of stuff. And Harleen Quinzel. She's a, another therapist there and stuff like that. Like when you think about that, that's really cool, to kind of dive into that idea. I don't know. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah,
I know.
absolutely.
And Good Will Hunting, you can do all kinds of different things with that.
That's right. Like Robin Williams, to compensate for the loss of his wife, he creates Will as a mechanism to help him not only help Will, but also help his own personal struggles.
Indeed.
That's good stuff, man. We could have a whole list of this. This might be a topic for another episode.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. What else have I watched? Oh yeah, I watched this documentary about that was pretty controversial. It was put on YouTube and then immediately taken off YouTube because of all the crap comments it got. And it's Michael Moore executive produced it. It's called Planet of the Humans. And what it dives into is how climate change is really kind of, it's talks about how we use many different types of fossil fuels to create these like solar energy things and wind energy things. And it, in a way, it's saying it's killing the planet faster than what we could be doing. I don't really know, but it was an interesting documentary, and I can see the hate it was getting because it was shining a bad light on pretty much everything.
Well, Michael Moore has been a polarizing filmmaker that's, been known to generate that type of reactions from people. So, negative or positive comments, I'm not really, I'm not surprised that he,
And I watched one of the worst movies Netflix has ever produced.
Yeah.
The Last Days of American Crime. And I'm not even really going to get far into this piece of shit because that's all it was just a 2.5 hour steaming pile of shit. That's it.
So you're not recommending our viewers to watch this?
No. And you know what else I'm not going to recommend to watch? Space Force.
The new.
I got through the first 8 episodes of the 10 episode first season, and I think I could count on one hand how many times I laughed.
You watched 8 episodes?
Yeah, it's not funny.
Wow.
They're only 30 minutes long.
Yeah. Is it R-rated?
I guess, if you could say that. It's not funny. John Malkovich is the funniest part, and he'll just make you giggle.
I'm Malkovich. No, I'm Malkovich.
Yeah. And that's really all I got for this week.
I haven't even started that show yet. I don't know why. I love everything that's presented with it. I don't know.
It's not funny. There is nothing funny to me about it. And no, I'm not an Office fan, and I don't think you have to be a fan of The Office to like this because it's not high comedy or anything. It's just dumb.
Yeah.
All right. Way to end on a good note there, Jeremy.
I
know. All right. Well, for me, let's see. Me and Tasha last night, we watched Den of Thieves.
Again?
Again.
Okay.
Again for me, first time for her.
Oh, okay.
So she actually really liked it. She was into it. And I don't want to give spoilers, but at the end, there's a twist and stuff like that. So she was really into that. We've been on like a crime drama kick lately.
Mhm.
We watched this show called Accused, Guilty or Innocent, and it's there's 7 episodes out right now, and it dives into stories, real life stories. It's more like a documentary series of people that have been put in jail that they could either be innocent or guilty. They haven't. They've been proven. In, let me put this right. In court, they were proven guilty, but there's a lot of evidence that is brought to light in these stories that a bunch of them could be innocent. You never. And some of the people, yes, they prove their innocence and they get all charges dropped, but some of them don't. And it's just crazy to watch. We've been watching another show called Murder Mountain on Netflix. It's about this, just hill country, big time drug community. And it follows a story about a gentleman that started like a weed farm there and got murdered. So, that's crazy.
Sorry, Jeremy.
I know. No thumb up.
Don't go there, Jeremy.
Bad.
And then we watched a movie called Just Mercy, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But that is one that really hits hard on some of these topics and these situations going on right now too. So, like I said, we'll get into that one a little bit later. And then I started yesterday an old series I found on Netflix. It's an MTV movie series, and it's called the Shannara Chronicles.
Oh yeah.
And it's not bad. I'm about 2 or 3 episodes in.
What's that based off of? It's it's not Maze Runner or something. What's it? It's based off of something, a pre-existing. It's a spin-off of something.
I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I just was scrolling through Netflix and I found it. It is about like elves and gnomes and warlocks and magic and stuff like that. It has a little bit of the feel of a Maze Runner because some of these people have to get through like a gauntlet to become part of the chosen and stuff like that.
Mortal Instruments. I think it might be Mortal. It's something like that. I'm gonna look that up. You keep going.
Okay.
That's gonna drive me nuts.
Hey, Jeremy, we just got a comment in here from Brandon Sosa. Do any of you watch the 30 for 30 sports documentaries? Didn't you
were
watch
talking about
Bruce
the two
Lee?
that you watched?
It was
and
good.
the Lance Armstrong.
I didn't watch the Lance Armstrong when it was screw Lance Armstrong.
That's what I thought. I was like, why are they giving this guy money? This cheater.
Right.
I know.
So even Chris Wright said, "Did anyone watch Be Water?" You watched
the
didn't you,
Bruce
Jeremy?
Lee one.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah, it's good.
How come you didn't bring it up in your
I
watch?
Write these down, Jerry.
I know. I wrote the majority of them down. I just forgot to write that one down.
It's probably the best one you would have watched.
No, right? I know, and you were even texting us about it and be like, you were like, man, this is so good. It dives deep into his life.
It does. It does.
You should watch it.
I haven't watched it yet, but it is on. It is definitely one on the queue to watch very, very soon. And that's it for me. I watched cartoon movies with the little one. We watched Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that movie. Kronk, buddy. Kronk.
Kronk is the man.
Where do I know you? Did we wrestle in high school? God, Kronk is the best.
And then I watched all of Steven's TikToks, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm. Blowing up, buddy.
TikTok famous Cinema Steve.
Well, I appreciate that plug, buddy.
So that's it for me. Steven, what you got, man?
Well, since we skipped a couple of weeks, I have got a list.
I bet
a
you do.
long list. And okay, like Jeremy, I watched The Last Days of American Crime because it is currently sitting at 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I felt like that's something
the
I should
only
watch.
reason I watched it.
It's one of those. Okay, I've got to see. I there's no doubt that it's going to be bad. I just want to see how bad. And wow, it was pretty bad. 2.5 hours that movie was. I broke it up into like 3 segments.
I was about to say, did you break that up?
Yeah, absolutely. Not one sitting did I make it through that. I mean, they spend about an hour. It's about a heist at the core of it, and there's this like
what heist?
Yeah, exactly. Like this the government's implementing this the signal that reaches everyone in the world, or in America, I guess.
Yeah,
and it prevents them
your brain.
Yeah, your cerebral cortex or some stuff. And then it's like it prevents you from committing crime. Like you're unable to commit a crime. Whatever, I don't know. I guess it like feeds into your brain, and that's how stupid. Like it makes no sense. So in any event, these guys decide, hey, we can use this as a way to rip off some bank. I don't know. It was so crazy. So the whole plot is like them working to make a money heist, and the heist doesn't even take place until like an hour and a half into the movie. So the first hour and a half, they're not setting up the heist. They're not doing any. It's like showing their personal issues with other people. And I'm like, what does this have to do with it? You could have trimmed out a good hour of this movie. And then the characters are all over the place. It was pretty bad. I do not recommend that movie. I don't know how anybody could sit through that whole thing. And I got a lot of stuff, so I'm going to move on from that. I did watch another one that was really, really disappointing. It was The Hustle with Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. And basically
you didn't like an Anne Hathaway movie?
I know, right? And I like Rebel Wilson too, so I was very surprised. But this movie is a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, the Steve Martin, Michael Caine comedy from 1987. And I not to brag, but I was in the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels musical. but enough about me. But so I was excited for this one. I was like, okay, it's a new take. I don't know why they wouldn't keep the title, but okay. So I'm watching the movie, and it is awful. It is absolutely awful. Like they reworked some jokes, like retweaked some jokes for their own sake, I guess. The old ones worked fine. And I thought, why didn't they just make the musical version of this story like the Dirty Rotten Scoundrels musical? Because Anne Hathaway can sing great. She's been in musicals. Rebel Wilson can sing great. She's been in musicals. It was so disappointing. It was so bad. Didn't like it. I did watch another Natalie Portman movie that I hadn't seen. It was called Lucy in the Sky. And it's about, I don't know, they changed the name of the real Lucy. It was like Lucy Nowak, the astronaut who drove 9 hours to murder her boyfriend's girlfriend, and she was married. Like she was a mess, and so it goes into her psyche. And the thing that was funny was like she wore a space diaper during the 9-hour drive so she wouldn't have to pull over to go to the bathroom, so she could keep driving. And they left that out of the movie. Like the most bullet pointed issue in the whole headline, and they left it out of the movie. So I was like, that's kind of disappointing, but the movie looked great. It was okay. And then I watched a ton of movies with Sonia that she hadn't seen before. We watched Dick Tracy because I got the Blu-ray of it. Love Dick Tracy. It looks fantastic in Blu-ray.
I'm sure it does.
I mean, it looks so good in Blu-ray. And they got a lot of flack for the sets. Like they Warren Beatty filmed on a studio lot with like a painted backdrop of the city, and people are like, it looks so fake. He's like, yeah, I'm making it look like the pages of the comic book, the comic strip. And nobody got that. Again, a movie in the early 90s that was taking a risk and telling an actual comic book movie, and it looked fantastic, and it looks so much better on Blu-ray with all the colors. And we watched Go, Jeremy, Sonya had never seen Go. I was blown away by that. I was like, whoa, we should probably watch that one.
You solved that.
Yeah, that holds up great. Oh, okay, Jeremy. Sonya had never seen Fargo. Yeah,
Jeremy's face.
that's exactly what I wanted. And yeah, it's so funny how we've been together for so long, and yet I'm still surprised by some of the things she's never seen.
Like somebody
and I
else
wrote out
cut
a
it.
list. Face, yeah, exactly. He was like, but yeah, Fargo. I was like, okay, I know she had never seen the television series, but the movie, right? You saw the movie, right? And no, so we rectified that pretty quick. And
I would hope so.
And no mystery, it holds up. It's one of the Coen brothers' best movies.
Did she like it?
Oh yeah, she loved it.
Well, naturally.
And of course, we were talking like how they talk in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a really good movie. Okay.
Yeah.
And we better
Sure is,
stop
yeah.
because we'll go on the whole episode talking like that.
Yeah, I will.
Like Mr. Lundergaard. And oh, I was telling you guys about Pool Hall Junkies. You remember that Pool Hall Junkies?
Mhm.
I can't believe y'all don't remember that movie. It came out in 2002, and I don't know. The lead is such an unlikable guy, but I like him. It's really hard to explain. I'm like, I don't like this guy, but yet I think he's kind of cool, And it's just a Pool Hall movie, and Christopher Walken's in it. Chaz Palminteri are probably the two big names in the film, and just about a pool hustler and his brother and their friends, and I don't know, it works. I watched Copland. Sonya had never seen Copland, and I was like, okay. Oh, and yeah, she never had seen Raging Bull, so we watched Raging Bull. And
you say that like it's a bad thing.
What?
Raging Bull. We watch Raging Bull. I mean, come on, man.
Because it is a bad thing that she'd never seen it. No, I'm not saying like, we watched Raging Bull.
I love Raging Bull. She finally got to see it.
Right. And so it's a great movie. Holds up. Watched this Charlie Sheen movie, Terminal Velocity, again. You guys remember that movie?
I do remember that one.
Vaguely.
I love that action movie. It came out like 96, 97, and he plays a skydiving instructor, and his student dies, but she's like a Russian KGB agent, and the stunt work in that movie, it just makes me miss 90s stunts, because they throw a car out of a cargo plane, and the stunt double, obviously it's not Charlie Sheen. I don't know, it could have been coked up enough to be him, but
maybe
he goes down because she's locked in the trunk. He goes down to the car, falling car, gets her out of the trunk. They tandem. It's just awesome. It's so cool, and I love those old stunts. But I got some television shows that I wanted to talk about real quick. Oh, I got HBO Max, so I was watching a lot of movies off of that.
I did too, but I can't watch shit.
Dude, I've been having to watch it on my tablet or on my phone, and there's a lot of movies on there that I want Sonya to see that, I mean, if we don't watch it on my computer, I don't know, they got to get that worked out, because I read a report on there that it kind of leaks into a headline, but the report was that HBO Max didn't have a big launch. Not a lot of people watched it because they didn't have Amazon Fire Stick or Roku ready to stream the app. And I'm thinking, why would you not sign a deal before you launched? Like, people watch stuff on their televisions now. I don't know. That was really disappointing, but it didn't stop me from watching stuff on there. I watched a new show called Love Life with Anna Kendrick. Jeremy, it's one that I'm sure you would love.
It's right up Jeremy's alley right there.
Absolutely. It's Anna Kendrick, looking for love in New York City. Very wonderful. They make a Friday Night Lights reference in it in one episode, so I was, sold.
About Coach Taylor, right?
Yeah, finding love like Coach Taylor and Mrs. Coach, and it spoke to me, like here.
That's what solidified this show.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a show on HBO Max that was streaming called Tacoma FD, from the creators of Super Troopers, the Broken Lizard guys, and they work in the fire department. Tacoma. Did you watch that, Jeremy?
No.
Oh my god, dude, you've got to see it. It's so funny. I watched all 10 episodes in like one day because I mean it's Super Troopers, just they're firemen instead. And
Okay.
not all of the Broken Lizard guys are back, but oh my god, it was
The
so
majority
funny.
of them.
The majority of them, yeah. Then Legends of Tomorrow had its finale, loved it, and there was a show on Hulu that I watched. Oh no, on Prime, and it was called Cursed Films, and it was like a short docu series of certain movies that had like urban legends about the mishandling or people dying on set, like Poltergeist, Exorcist. The Crow was an episode, and it explores the death of Brandon Lee, and it got real technical about his death. And even I was kind of, oh, I didn't realize that. I thought it was like a real bullet mixed in with a blank. What it was like some blanks leave heads of a bullet, and it got lodged into the barrel, it like a cap. And so that lodged piece was still in the barrel. So when the blank fired off, it shot that top piece out, and that's what killed him. I was like, damn, that's crazy. And then there was one about the Twilight Zone and the infamous death of Vic Morrow, how he's walking across this set, and it's raining and there's explosions going off, and a helicopter like falls on him and killed him and two of the young stars he was holding in his arms, right? And I mean, it was a huge thing when it came out, but what was really creepy was like during the documentary, it shows the helicopter falling on him and the kids. Like it actually showed them dying on screen. Yeah, I was like, how the hell can they show that? That is like, we were startled because we just literally saw him and the two kids die. And I was like, I can't believe they showed that. I was really taken aback by that, but I was kind of like watching Faces of Death when we were in middle school. I was like, I don't like the real stuff, man. I can watch the goriest movie ever made, but if it's real, I can't. I don't know. I couldn't process that, but I'm going to leave it on this one. I watched a new series on Hulu called Normal People. And you know, guys, I'm a softie. I love the rom-coms. I love the love stories, man. Don't give me that look, Jeremy. See, I knew that's what you do when we record. But I can't help it. And Normal People, basically what it is, it's about these two kids that meet in high school, and it shows them and their relationship and how they're together, they're apart, but it's over the span of like 10 years from when they met in high school to when they're grown-ups, and just all the stuff in between. I know, but I love it. I thought it was really good. I kept texting Sonya stuff about it. I'm like, I can't believe Connell would leave Marianne like that. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Leave me alone. But yeah, other than that, that's all I had. And this is, again, you guys' fault for, letting me have almost a month of stuff to watch and talk.
Yeah, that will never happen again. It probably will, but as for now, all right. So we got a little bit, just a couple of headlines. Steven, you want to get started on those, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, before we get to the heavy hitter headlines, we had a couple of, one uplifting headline started today, actually. And it was the Bill and Ted. I mean, they released a poster, right? A teaser poster. So I'm like, oh my gosh, that's great. So we're sharing it everywhere. And then like that 2 minutes later, a trailer dropped. And I'm like, well, forget the poster. Let's watch the teaser.
Although the poster was really cool.
Yeah, I loved it. I made it my profile pic. I'm such a huge fan of Bill and Ted. And the fact that they were making another movie, they've been talking about this for years, like for a really long time, that they've been trying to get this together and get it made. And it seems like it's happened. Well, obviously it's happened. It happened. Yeah. But the trailer dropped, or the teaser trailer dropped. And man, it was great. I thought it was funny. It just showed enough, gave it a little bit of, those little jokes that they talk about. And Bill and Ted is still very much Bill and Ted, even as old as they are, which is great. But I don't know. And I did notice that Dean Parasot was the director. He directed Galaxy Quest, which is like one of my favorite comedies ever made. I love Galaxy Quest. But what did you guys think of the trailer?
Jeremy, I'll let you go first.
2 50-year-old men, mid 50-year-old men, and they look it.
It is John Wick. He's been through a lot of shit, Jeremy.
Okay, there's a reason John Wick grew a fucking beard, and that's the reason right there.
It looked
'Cause
like he had some work done, right?
And Alex Winter, oh my God, he looks like he's half dead.
Yeah,
He's the new Grim Reaper. It's fine.
he's playing
Hey,
death.
at least William Sadler looks fine because he's in makeup.
Yeah, you couldn't tell. Yeah, but other than that, obvious fact. Like, what did you
Other
think?
than that, it looks fine. I guess it looks like another damn Bill and Ted movie. I was never the biggest fan of those movies. I liked Bogus Journey better than the first one.
I actually think I prefer Bogus Journey too, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's a lot of fun stuff in part one, but man, Bogus Journey. I love Death. Death is my
Death,
favorite
yeah.
character. He's so funny. But and the games they play, the game of death, and it's like Twister and Battleship. I mean, that shit was hilarious. Best of 7. Damn right.
Damn right.
And as far as the trailer goes, I love the trailer. I think it was good, and I mean it keeps in line with the other movies and stuff like that. I was kind of like Joey, Joey put on our Screen Addicts Fanatics page today. Joey Lomley. It's kind of weird seeing Keanu in that role after what he's been doing. You get so used to an actor doing certain things, and he flips the script on it. Well, it's not really that. I mean, he was kind of comedic and always be my maybe.
Yeah.
But it was still the dark, brooding dude, And this one is not that at all. But I mean, that's his roots.
I think it's cool. Oh, go ahead,
It's
Jim.
gonna be weird seeing him in the Matrix again, like he's gonna be all bearded up and weird, and he wasn't like that in the first 3 Matrix movies.
There was another headline, and it ties into this one as well because they were talking about how John Wick 4 is going to come out the same day as Matrix 4, and it's just like big Keanu day. But people were asking him, so after all this time, Matrix Revolutions came out in what, 04? 04, right? I think 04, 03, something like that.
03, I think. Fall of 03.
And so people were like, oh, well, what made you after all this time want to do another Matrix movie? And he said, well, I read the script. I love the script, and it was a beautiful movie. And I thought, man, it better be, because that Revolutions was shit, man. I was so disappointed that. And I'll never forget, like, a friend of mine, when we saw it, she had said something like, so the future of mankind and existence relied on a fist fight in a water pool, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't seem kind of like too easy. And it kind of left it open-ended too when you think about it, because like I know the implication was that Neo died, but did he die? And Trinity definitely died, but then apparently Carrie-Anne Moss is in this new Matrix movie. So I don't know. I mean, I know
they meet Michael J. Fox and they go back in time.
Oh yeah.
No, as it was pointed out in the Matrix 2, I have a feeling this Neo is not the Neo that was. It's another version, and there is another version of the one still in the Matrix, but Keanu is not playing the one in this one.
So he's like 1.0. Is he the 2?
2.
I don't know.
Oh,
He's just a bearded Neo, I guess. I don't know.
Does he have a beard in it? Did they release set photos?
Oh yeah.
I
I've seen the set photos. He's got a damn beard in it.
So he's playing like a recluse or something, lost in the Matrix.
I guess. Yeah.
Kane and Kung Fu.
Very nice.
But I don't know. But other than that, yeah, so far it's a lot of Keanu stuff. Yeah. But the next headline that I had here was that AMC Theaters is standing to lose over $2 billion during their second quarter. And of course,
AMC.
yeah. It's rough. They're already saying, no, we're going to open in July. We're reopening in July. Now they're talking about reopening this month. And man, and I was like, why are you trying to cut, like Universal Pictures out of that, when all that drama went down about
Yeah.
Universal releasing Trolls and stuff. And then I'm like, why are you not showing movies? If anything, you need to be showing more movies.
You need to show
people.
every movie you can.
You need to make some in your backyard and show that too.
And do after hours movies and all sorts of shit.
Screen Addicts movie,
Yes.
we'll film something and put it up there. But so of course with that massive loss of revenue, they're desperate to get theaters reopened.
Yeah.
And I don't know, are your theaters open? Didn't I hear that they're not? Yeah.
No, they were tentatively supposed to open, but I think they pushed it back.
Yeah.
So
I know the theater in my town, it's they're only showing like one showing of each movie and it's at night, but they're only charging like $5 for it. So I'm not sure if that's going to stand. I mean, I would think now that it's open, they're going to keep it open. But I don't know, that High Note movie that just came out, that was like their big premiere movie, High Note, but they're still showing Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, and we got a comment here from my cousin. Well, I'm not even going to say I'm related to him because he's never seen a Bill and Ted movie, so I don't know who the hell Philip Seuss is.
Steven, who is that?
We share the same last name. What a coincidence. I don't know. But yeah, Philip, come on, man. Go watch him, dude. I'm surprised he has it. Me and, my cousin Jacob, he was the eldest of all of us, and he would always put on movies at our grandma's house. And man, we were watching everything under the sun, man. And she had HBO, so we were watching some good shit. But I'm surprised that one never got put in the playlist. But
I know.
I don't know. But okay, so getting into it, this is a pretty big headline, if you will. The reality television series Cops, that's been around for 33 seasons, has officially been canceled by Paramount Network, who picked it up from Spike TV, who picked it up from Fox like over 15 years ago. They have put a statement out saying that they are going to officially cancel the series, and also Live PD is also.
I was about to say because Live PD had started to pick up traction. Like it was getting pretty popular.
Live PD was, and did y'all ever watch that? Like nothing happened. Like that's the point.
Stupid.
It was like watching the damn Truman Show, man. Yeah. Like you wait for something to happen, and
there was even some Amarillo episodes in Live PD.
You weren't in it, were you, Chris? Okay. Or Jeremy, I hope you weren't in it, man. I didn't snitch on you about anything, I promise. But so Live PD though, that's been more of a recent series. It's only been out for like 1 or 2 years. Like I don't think that, but Cops, man, that was an institution of reality television. Before the reality bubble of Survivor, blew it up in 2000, it was like Cops, The Real World. I mean, there was only like a select few series that, had the reality television aspect. Jeremy, what are you going to say? I know you're thinking something.
Is Will and Martin still going to sing Bad Boys?
If anything, they're probably going to get the rights to that song a hell of a lot cheaper now.
Probably so.
But as long as they keep making those Bad Boys, I'm good. I'm good with that. But so I mean, obviously that was in live, everything that's been going on from a social standpoint, which, I'm like, well, it didn't, of course they would never capture anything, that shine them in a negative light on those series, because you're more into watching the train wrecks that they're picking up, and who they're investigating and stuff. But I guess from a I don't know, from a what's the word I'm looking for? From Chris, you work in social media. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. But they just, I don't know. I guess they just didn't want to align themselves with that right now. And I mean, obviously with everything going on in the world, they're trying to distance themselves from anything pertaining to anything like that, which you really can't. Some things you just have to face head on, and like for example, when I'm hosting my trivia, something in the media will happen, something big will happen politically, and someone will have a name that's like very, very ingrained in the current, but I said, no, change your name, man. I don't want to talk about that shit right now. I want us to have fun. I want us to play a game. I don't want people to be thinking about stuff that they're always constantly thinking about. But, something like this is so polarizing because of, and this kind of goes where I stand in things. And, as a Hispanic, Mexican American, whatever you will, we kind of fit in a weird line of things here. From race relations standpoint, personally, I've never had any kind of horrible thing happen to me, but I have had family members that have. So the plight that's been going around, the Black Lives Matter cause and stuff. I mean, I'm obviously for it. I think that, people, I mean, it's a very it's a very polarizing issue, but in the end, I believe in the good in people, and I want people to be good because we can be good. We just choose not to be. We're born in a way that, I mean, you're taught to hate, in my opinion. I mean, I know we all have, again, our beliefs. These are my beliefs. These are what I think. It may not share you guys' thoughts on anything, and it may not obviously share millions of people's thoughts, but I don't know. And, it kind of goes into the films that we talk about tonight. We're going back to the list method, if you will. And, these movies really channel a certain, not necessarily demographic, but a mindset, if you will, on how people think and view things. And, the troubling notion that justice isn't being served from, a certain group of people. And it's just, it's a troubling and it's very insightful problem that we have right now. And my dad's told me stories about how he was Hispanic in Texas, West Texas, in the 60s and 70s, teenager, man. He got, he had to face some hardships himself, and it's just like, man, that sucks. And I don't know, it's just a lot of that going on. But Chris, if you want, man, take it away with the movies.
Well, as as we were talking earlier, and Stephen was talking just now, like I said, us as a group, we tend to stay away from political topics because we know it can be touchy, and we know there's people that have their opinions, and we don't want to force our opinions on anybody by any means. Politically, we want to force our opinions about movies on you because we don't want you to watch shit. But as far as movies go, there are a bunch of movies out there that can help shed some light on some of the topics that are going on in the world right now. And we're, like Steven said, we're going back to our list method. We have each a top three tonight, and starting off with number 3, Jeremy, what is your number 3 movie, my friend?
Number 3, a movie from 1997, and it kind of fits in the arena that we're in nowadays. The Barry Levinson comedy Wag the Dog with Dustin Hoffman and Robert De Niro, about a president night before the election. He gets some bad press and thinks of a war to fabricate to win him re-election. There you go. It's funny.
You buried the lead, man. That's a David Mamet movie. He wrote that.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows what he's doing with those scripts.
He does.
God, Wag the Dog, man. That movie's so damn funny. And what is Dustin Hoffman? He's like, you want me to start a war? I'm just a producer. He's like, no, I want you to act like you started a war. That you can do. He's like, yeah, okay, I can do that. It's so good. Typical Mamet dialogue, right?
Oh yeah, very Mamet.
Because what is De Niro? He's like he works like he's an advisor, political advisor, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Man, I love that movie. That movie's so good.
It's been so long since I've seen that movie, man. I can't even. I don't. I remember bits and pieces of it, but I don't remember a bunch of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really say. I don't want to give a false opinion on it.
Yeah, it came out in what, like 96, 97?
97.
Been around for over 20 years.
Ugh.
God, it's crazy to think like movies in the late 90s are over 20 years
Actually,
now.
January 9th, 1998 was when it was released
Wow.
1 year off, man.
Yeah.
So close.
Mm. All right. So Jeremy's number 3 pick, Wag the Dog. Good start there, Jeremy.
here. Damn right.
All right. So my number 3 pick, I'm going to go with a more recent film. It was in 2017, directed by Kathryn Bigelow. And the movie is Detroit.
Mm. Yeah.
And this movie is based around the summer of 1967. Rioting and civil rights unrest starts to tear apart the city of Detroit. And this focuses in on this one house, this one where a bunch of these people are, and how the cops are treating them just because they're people of color, and they're not really a part of everything that's going on, but they're treating them like they are, and there's just if you wanted to see a movie that kind of is falling in lines of what is going on right now with the rioting and everything going on, watch this movie. It's sad to say, but it's like history is repeating itself.
It always does, man.
It always does.
Why haven't we learned from what has happened? It's amazing. Like, you can make a huge movie about this and show people exactly what's going on and how people are treated, but people still don't seem to understand. It's very powerful. Very, very powerful movie. If you have not seen Detroit, I definitely recommend Detroit. It stars John Boyega, Will Poulter,
yeah.
Hannah Murray, John Krasinski is in this movie. Caitlin Deaver.
Oh,
yes.
She's good. She's really good.
And then, and one of my favorite characters from Victorious, Leon Thomas III.
Victorious.
Shh. But man, I said, if you have not seen this movie, definitely give it a watch. It could put some perspective on what's going on in the world right now, for sure. So my number 3 pick, 2017's Detroit.
Not bad.
All right, Steven.
Okay, my number 3 pick is from 1996. It is the film starring Alec Baldwin, Whoopi Goldberg, and James Woods in a Best Supporting Role nomination, Ghosts of Mississippi. Man, it's about the assassination of civil rights activist Medgar Evers and how his wife, played by Whoopi Goldberg, just tried to fight the system. It's kind of like that, that show that you were talking about, Chris, to some extent, like Accused, but on the reverse end, like they knew that James Woods committed the crime, but he never was brought up on charges, and he never was, that's it. Like, justice wasn't served, even though they knew that he did it. And of course, in Ghost of Mississippi, much like Mississippi Burning with Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe, it's a hotbed issue there, and racism runs deep, and especially in those areas. So the movies didn't stray away from showcasing that. So it's a very difficult film to watch if you get. But I think in this case, you need to watch something like that. You need to be rattled. You need to kind of have some understanding of how complex these situations can become. And the movie in itself was fantastic. Rob Reiner directed it, and he's always been known to have some kind of like wholesome, film, not wholesome, but more lighthearted fare. Like, When Harry Met Sally, This Is Spinal Tap, these kinds of movies. So for him to direct a movie like that, it was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. And, so I think that the trial takes place, I think 30 years after the crime had been committed, because Alec Baldwin plays an attorney that, he wants to make it right. He wants to help her. He wants to put this crime to justice. And, they go into the court ruling of it, and they try to talk about the bullet, the guns. I mean, it's a very procedural film, but it's a really great movie and a great conclusion. So obviously there's no mystery. It's a true story. So if you kind of know about the story as it took place, then, you'll know what happens. But yeah, Ghost of Mississippi, such a great movie.
Nice. All right. So moving on to our number 2 picks. I guess I will start number 2. And number 2 for me is not just a good political movie to me, but it is one of my all-time favorite movies. It is 2005. It came out in 2005. Damn, it's old.
Just like
That's
you,
not
Chris.
old.
Just like me. To me, it is.
Well, in movie terms, that's not that old.
Okay. Well, sorry. But anyway, 2005's V for Vendetta. It follows fascist government, vigilante that wants justice for the people, and the government's controlling the people with curfews and all sorts of stuff, and they just want to be free. And this superhero-ish vigilante, takes a stand and rallies pretty much a nation behind him, and his cause to free the people. And we tend to look at some of these movies as not really political. This one, it almost seems more like a superhero movie, but there is a lot of underlying topics in there that you can read into about being political and being.
And I was gonna say, I hope we know the history on V for Vendetta, Chris. A little joke, but yeah. It's presented that way because it's from the creators of The Matrix, so they kind of thought like, the Wachowskis didn't direct it, but James McTeague did. But they wrote the script, and so it's one of those things where they thought, okay, we're trying to tell a very, very political and serious story, but we feel like people are gonna miss out on or not care, so we have to sprinkle in these crazy action sequences and how V fights, and it's very
long speech with only words with the letter V.
Yeah, I'll never forget your reaction. You're like, "What the hell did you just say?" I'm like, "I don't know. I need a thesaurus or something." But yeah, that's it. I mean, it's a good movie. I think that movie gets better as I get older, and
yes,
at first it's just one of those things where you're just like, "Wow, what." That doesn't seem like it made much sense, but we were younger when we saw it. But fun fact, today is Natalie Portman's birthday, so there's that.
Oh, happy birthday, Evie!
I personally
39.
Really, I didn't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I personally would like to wish Natalie Portman a very happy birthday. But back
I
on
texted
topic.
her already. So
okay, good. Tell her I said hi.
Yeah. All right, Steven, number 2, man.
My number 2 pick is, it's a Spike Lee joint, if you will.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about a polarizing filmmaker, someone who has never shied from the topic of, racial prejudice or injustices, I'm going to go with Do the Right Thing, because I have been thinking about that movie a lot lately, because especially with the riots and stuff, Do the Right Thing takes place on a very, very hot day in the summer of in the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood in New York, Brooklyn, New York, and follows the perspective of Mookie, played by Spike Lee, and how he's delivering pizza for Sal's Pizzeria. And Sal's an Italian American. He's trying to do his job, make his place work. And it's very but he also built a pizzeria right in the middle of a black neighborhood, so he's met with a lot of animosity. But then he's just wants to be part of the community work. And there's a situation that takes place at the end of the film, and I don't want to talk about spoilers so much, but there was it involves the police and the death of one of the neighbors, and Radio Raheem. And so he basically was murdered by the police, and it sets off this massive riot there in the Bed-Stuy area. And I was just like thinking, my God, that movie, it's like right on the nose with all of the stuff going on. And that was 30 years ago. It came out like 1991. And it's just one of those movies where, again, perspective is key, and you're watching it and you're thinking, man, that seems like, if you're on one side, it may say, oh, that just glorifies violence in an inaccurate way. But then fast forward 30 years, and here you are in a situation where it's like, holy shit, I'm watching Do the Right Thing right now. And it's just something that people that don't live that life, you don't see it from that perspective. So I think that's a lot of problem that we have nowadays, just failed perspectives. You see one thing your way and you think that that's the right way. And you have to look at from the plight, like, okay. And The Five Bloods is coming out, when, Jeremy, this Friday. Yeah, Spike Lee's new movie, The Five Bloods. Man, that's gonna be good. That's gonna be good. But yeah, that's my number 2 pick, is Do the Right Thing.
Awesome. All right, Jeremy, what do you have for number 2?
Number 2, I have an Oliver Stone epic starring Anthony Hopkins, Joan Allen, Powers Booth, and a whole lot of other people. The 3.5 hour biography of Richard Nixon, called Nixon.
Man, they really reached for the stars on that title.
A little bit they did.
Yeah. And Anthony Hopkins is Richard Nixon, and he does a good Nixon.
Well, it's Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, he can do anything.
Did he eat anyone's liver with some fava beans in a canteen? Oh, wait, that's a different character.
Gross.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a biography of Richard Nixon. So if you want to know Richard Nixon's story from when he lost to JFK in 1960 all the way up until after he became president, quit being president, and thereafter, watch Nixon.
You sat through the whole 3.5 hours of that?
I sure did.
God.
That's how I know we're getting older, man. We can sit through these movies now. God, I remember when that came out. It was the 2-tape. It was a 2-tape VHS.
Yeah,
and I said, no, if it's 2 tapes, this is going to be a long movie.
That reminds me of when I first watched JFK. That was 2 tapes.
That was definitely 2 tapes, yeah. And that takes place in the span of what, like 2 or 3 days? At least Nixon covers like years of his life.
Nixon covers many years.
Mm-hmm.
Man, pretty good.
Good. All right, guys, before we head off into number 1 land, do we have any honorable mentions or even TV series that we don't really mention?
You know what I was seeing a lot on Twitter were people sharing episodes from certain series, and the running comparison, or the one thing that was shared with, they were all comedy series. Like I was seeing scenes from A Different World, Fresh Prince, and Rock, and what was it, Family Matters, dealing with similar situations in these episodes of TV, and man, some of them were really graphic, and I thought, oh my god. And I'm like in a different world, the college
I
comedy.
remember those episodes of A Different World, man.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, it's all comedy, but there's like,
And then they
couple
hit you with that
yes,
serious episode, and
it makes you tear up because you're used to these people, these characters being so lighthearted, so funny, so this, and then they can turn the switch and be so serious and talk about something so serious that like it hits you hard.
I can't think of any particular television series though that encompasses this whole dynamic of
There's one that comes to mind, and I haven't finished watching it. I started it, but it's a Netflix series called Dear White People.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard of that.
And it talks about all these racist situations and stuff in college. And this girl has a radio show called Dear White People, and white people call in, and she's like, "Hey, this is how it is. It's very good. It definitely talks about a bunch of topics that we're afraid to talk about."
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that Now They See Us, the Ava DuVernay
Yes.
series. It's a little mini series, which is like 5 or 6 episodes about the wrongfully accused 5 kids, basically, that spent 5 years in prison for a crime they didn't commit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another series that was really good. I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff. Oh, I downloaded that movie Burden with Forrest Whitaker and Garrett Hedlund where he plays a pastor who takes in a former KKK member because he left the Klan, if you will, and he's trying to rehabilitate himself, and he the pastor, of course, gives him a place to stay. And I mean, obviously there's just a lot of hotbed situations there, but I don't know, I can't think of off the top of my head. I see that I had a comment here that like another one of my cousins, Joey, he said A Time to Kill is one of his favorites. And I mean, that's a great one too, but yeah, there's so many. But
there's a movie that Netflix released. It's a 2017 movie, and I believe it got some awards too. But Mudbound.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that was really good.
The actor that played Eazy-E.
Yeah.
I remember watching that movie, and that movie is graphic as well. Man, it's crazy. If you haven't seen that one, definitely it's a good watch too. And it's a really good movie. But Mudbound, and I believe that is a Netflix movie too, so you can watch it there. But moving on. All right, number ones. Steven, what is your number one pick, man?
Numero uno for me is American History X, starring Edward Norton, Edward Furlong, and if anyone hasn't ever seen this movie, I highly recommend it. It's a very, very provocative, very controversial film. Even to this day, there's stuff in there that'll rattle you to the core.
Oh,
and
man.
He plays a neo-Nazi who is arrested for killing a young black man in his neighborhood, a brutal murder. So he gets sent to prison. So he goes to prison, starts integrating into the prison lifestyle, and joins up with other Klan members within the prison. And he comes to find out that, just all it took was just him spending some time with a fellow inmate in the laundry room. Didn't talk to him, but then he starts talking to him, and African-American male, and he ends up becoming really close to him. It's one of those things that it's like, it's just one of those things where, again, failed perspective. And he starts talking, starts learning about him, learning about his life, starts reading more. He starts learning, starts listening. And then he's like, oh my God, I was wrong. I was wrong this entire time. This isn't right. So he reforms himself, and he comes out of prison a changed man. He wants to do good. He wants to do civil work. And, but then he comes to find out his younger brother has joined, his neo-Nazi party that he's trying to save him from, trying to tell him like, look, this isn't right, this is wrong, being hate, this is, it's just such a fantastic movie. Edward Norton was, I mean, he's just such an amazing actor, and that showcased his ability to a T. And if you've never seen American History X, I highly recommend it. But again, it's tough. It's
You
really,
can't have a weak stomach in that movie.
no, man, it's really tough.
Put your mouth on the
Yeah,
curb.
I was about to say the curb stop, man.
That scene alone is just so bone chilling, and
Oh,
you don't see it, but you see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you feel it.
yeah, you feel it.
100%. It's just, whew.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy, what do you got for number one, man?
All right. The most recent Spike Lee joint that's been released, Black Klansman, starring John David Washington and Adam Driver. I've gone over this movie on here before, so you know.
Yeah, it's a good one.
It's just a great movie, and it fits with everything going on today. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That movie's funny too. Like
it
it's
is
really funny, and it has that dark comedy aspect. Kind of like, we're watching Fargo and we're like, should I be laughing at this? Because it's really funny, but
but it's in some ways it's one of those movies that you kind of want to watch or need to watch, because yes, these are serious times and serious subjects, but for a movie to take those serious subjects and draw you in with a little bit of comedy and a little bit of lightheartedness, to ease the stress of everything so doom and gloom. Yes, it is, but let me ease into it. Let me ease off of that for a little bit,
Yeah, because he's really smart. Like, he knows how to write comedy, so it's like he knows that his dialogue has that intention of humor, and also it's like a double meaning, if you will.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it's like comical innuendo, if you will.
Awesome, yeah, good pick. All right, and my number one pick for me is a movie that has recently come out, and I believe it is. You can now watch it for free. I think on Prime, right, Stephen?
I believe so. Yeah.
Prime has put it out for free to watch. It is a movie with Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx, Brie Larson, and O'Shea Jackson Jr. Called Just Mercy. And I watched this a couple days ago, and man, it is a very good movie. I can't say enough about Jamie Foxx, man. That dude has taken his acting skills above and beyond. Like, you think of Jamie Foxx, you think of his old show sometimes, or even his music career, but I think his acting has just elevated so much in the past. I mean, since Ray, and he's just like, you can when he's in this movie, there's times that like you're like, oh crap, I forget that's Jamie Foxx doing this, and it's just so good. And Michael B. Jordan, he continues to get better as well. And Brie Larson, I like her in this movie more than I like her in Captain Marvel. So,
well, Brie Larson's a really good actress, man. I mean, like, did you see Room? She won the Oscar for Room, and yeah, man, she sold me on acting from that perspective, anyway. But yeah, Just Mercy, it is free, so I mean, it doesn't take anything to push play on it. I guess, yeah, go to Amazon Prime and it's free for
anybody to watch, yeah.
And but yeah, that's a really good movie. We just watched that a couple of weeks ago as well. Yeah, man, just one of those things.
And I hate to kind of wrap us up and end us up on this kind of low point, but it is what it is right now, guys. And hopefully we've given you some recommendations and some movies and TV shows to watch to where, you know, you can kind of educate yourself through movies. Movies, they are movies, they're made, but there's a lot of facts and there's a lot of real behind some of these movies. I forgot to mention, Just Mercy is based off of a true story that actually happened. And Brian Stevenson, the guy who wrote the book about this movie, is head of this organization that helps people that are incarcerated for wrong reasons. And they've been going at it for 30 years. And, you get the whole story if you go watch that movie. But there's trying times in our world, guys. And us as screen addicts want to help you understand more through movies, through the power of cinema. And we've all been we all three of us watch movies, and sometimes they hit different. And some of these that we've given you are some that have changed our lives or given us a new perspective on different subjects and different things. So hopefully you got some good information out of tonight. So before we wrap up, guys, anything else?
Yeah, I was going to say, Chris, like that's a really good point about movies, how, they can also be served as an escapist tool, if you will. Like if you're tired of, want to take a break from everything going on and, just with everything. And it's just a perfect, some people read books, some people listen to music. We watch movies and television. So
Absolutely.
There's always something out there. Like if you want to feel more amplified, if you will, you'll watch some of the movies we suggested. Or if you want to just take a break, Disney Plus has got a catalog of movies we've watched our entire life.
Absolutely.
And
Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, that's a good point. Connor was telling me he was watching Hercules. I'm like, dude, that's one of my favorites. Why didn't you tell me? I would have watched it with you. But that's just the beauty of movies. Like they like you said, they speak to you on so many different ways. And if you want to release from something, you can watch something that takes you into a different world, something that we don't currently reside in, somewhere that that you feel happy. And that's just something that's always gravitated me towards films my entire life. And I love that. And sometimes, you don't want to stay too far into certain things, but I mean, if that's your choice, that's your choice.
Absolutely. Jeremy, anything before we close out, my man?
Nope, I got nothing.
All right. Guys, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you being here tonight or whenever you listen to the podcast. If you were live with us, I really appreciate it. Those that have commented and stayed with us, Brandon, Chris, Philip, Joey, Miss Larkin, she's always tuning in. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. It means a lot to us that you come in here and you hang out with us and talk movies and TV. We really appreciate it. So wherever you are, if you're on the YouTube channel watching this live right now, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you are on our Facebook page, go ahead and follow us there. And then go ahead and follow us on our Facebook group page. It's the Screen Addicts Fanatics. That's a bunch of the places that we posting trailers, movie posters. That's where Steven posted the Bill and Ted trailer as soon as it hit.
Dudes.
See, you're missing some good news. We'll keep up to date there a lot. So follow us on Screen Addicts Fanatics group page on Facebook. If you're on Instagram, go ahead and follow us there too. Just look up the Screen Addicts Podcast. And then if you are on Twitter, look us up there. It's Screen_Addicts, and Addicts is spelled ADDICS there. And then, guys, like I said, wherever you're listening to us, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, we're everywhere. Give us a subscribe. go ahead and leave us a review too if you can. 5 stars would be great. It just helps us get seen a lot more in the podcast world. And before I close out, I want to give a huge shout out to my 2 little cousins. They have started a podcast. They are, I believe, like 9, 10 years old.
Oh, nice.
No, I like 13. Whoa, 13. Anyway, they have started a podcast called Growing Up Godly. Right now, you can find them on Apple Podcast. If you go find them, they're awesome. They're just sharing their testimonies of growing up through their faith and what their struggles and what they've been dealing with. So it's really, really cool, and I'm so proud of them. Naya and Emily, congrats, guys. I'm so excited to continue and watch and listen to this journey of y'all. So awesome. So, but for me, that is it, and good night.
Adios, amigos.
Good evening.